Enough with this crap patch. Boring and suck. Oh, he even went out of his way to bold all of the text. The last thing we need is some self-proclaimed amateur trying to do game balance. No real understanding, no depth, no sense of balance, yet they act like they're hot stuff. A half-baked crap like that is getting trashed all over the internet right now, and honestly, I'm not surprised at all. Zerg can max out a 200 supply by 730 now. They already expand faster than anyone, and their mid to late game units have been buffed multiple times already. How the hell are we supposed to fight that? Making basic, beginner level mistakes like messing with larva spawn rates. What the hell are they even thinking with these random changes? If Blizzard is just going to let this kind of trash ruin the game, then we'll have no choice but to move on to another RTS title. That new game, Zero Space, that just came out. Definitely worth checking out. Okay, brother. Okay. We could max out before at less time. Well, yeah. I'm assuming, though, that Eddie here is talking about the fact that we have 4 less starter workers, which was meant to slow things down. There's no way, by the way, that one of the guys at Zero Space did this. No way. No way this is an ad. I know some of the folks that work at Zero Space, man. They're very nice. There's no way they would do this. This is super shady if it's something they... Nah, no way. Seriously, if you want to win fast, just send 2 Reapers across in the first 2 minutes of the game, and it's insta-win. Bro, you can't have 2 Reapers out in the first 2 minutes of the game. The first Reaper spawns at like 240 or so, 230. We're pretty much dead in the water the first 3 minutes of the game, even with an early pool. No, early pool was the way to deal with it. Perfect patch for Zerg players like you guys. This is Edison again. This suck patch is perfect fine for cheese Zerg players like you. I would even argue that some of this stuff would be written by an AI. But honestly, with the way that people speak, and the way that we get a lot of typos and whatnot, I don't think it is. Is the player count low since the patch? Anyone got the player count numbers from before the patch to after? For me, it seems like less people are on now. My queue times on Teams has gone from getting games within 2 to 3 minutes to now waiting over 6 minutes. Dang. This game is definitely dying because of the patch. I would imagine the viewer count or the player count is probably slightly up, but Mutalisk is so imbalanced in ZVZ. Oh. Brother, we're on the US forums. Why did you put the title in English? Mutalisk is imbalanced in all matchups. I would advise you to use Parasitic Bomb Viper ability. What? Duke, did you read this? Okay. Maybe we use Google Translate, I don't know. The balance guy is actually the Zerg player. Remember this famous statement on Reddit that he is willing to sacrifice many players in order to achieve his personal ideal patch? No, I do not remember his famous statement on Reddit. What are you on about? No wonder he made this ridiculous patch so obviously Zerg favorite, space question mark. While he claims online that he is a Terran player, he hasn't claimed anything. There is news that he actually plays Zerg very much privately, and Zerg is his main race. You may question where my news comes from. It is from my friends who have connected many pros and core workers in this game. Bro, his source is anonymous. But just trust, okay? It's real. Just trust. Sounds like a false claim. Suit yourself, that guy especially like people like you. What does that even mean? As I said, what he claims online is different in private. My friend told me that, believe it or not, suit yourself, as I care about what you Zerg players are thinking of. Thinking? I love it. I've never seen it spelled like that. Man, I agree the new patch is not perfect. Almost everyone wants to complete a revert. I don't want to see another competition like Home Story Cup. That was a mess. I don't remember the last 10 years the balance to be so broken and so obvious. Wait, was Home Story Cup a mess? What exactly about it was a mess? I do think Protoss underperformed a little bit. But that's mostly because the patch is so new, right? Yeah, Serral did beat Clem in the finals. But I mean, is that really considered to be such a crazy outcome? Yeah, we did have a lot of 2-0s and 3-0s. That's very true. But I feel like that's always going to be the case, though, whenever there is a new patch right before the tournament. Especially one that, like, overhauls the early game. Like, somebody... Like, it was very clear that some of the guys had already practiced the new patch and other guys just didn't. Yeah, the games weren't as spicy as we've had in the past. Yeah. But also, there were none... Like, there were no Koreans playing at all, right? I also... No, I haven't seen MaxPax really play in anything yet. So, like, we're also... I don't think you can really draw any crazy conclusions on a tournament that takes place shortly after a new patch release. When, you know, not all the top dogs are there. I think Zerg is probably slightly overtuned. I think Zerg probably needs a little bit of a larva adjustment. And maybe Protoss needs a little bit more love in the early game, but I don't know. Best way to light up players is revert to the last version before that balance guy and add or change a new units in each race. Yeah, this guy had so many chances. Ideas like tanks can't be abducted. I'm not even a Zerg player, but that is completely unfair for Zergs. And everyone is immediately against that change. How in the world that got through and stayed for a while, I have no clue. Many say the same thing. I feel like it's just like 10 guys on the forums that are saying this. And then they're all like agreeing with one another. And now everybody agrees with them according to the 10 guys on the forums. Thank you very much, Echo Steel. Welcome back. Appreciate you. It is mostly the same guys, actually. It's very interesting. Like, you have like Mind Spirit and Cat and Void Seeker and then like a bunch of other dudes. And it's like all of them arguing amongst one another. Been liking pro streams after the patch. It seems that with the microbial... Hey, wait a second. Paid forum post confirmed. It seems that with the microbial shroud changes on Lowko stream, I've been seeing Zerg players actually able to break Terran walls. Although Terran should be good at holding an area, they should be able to do so cost effectively, but not imperviously. That sounds like a Lowko viewer to me. Yeah. Vocabulary of Lowko viewers is on another level. Very nice. Very nice. I've wanted to throw my lunch at the monitor after watching Zerg players take 65% of the map and still lose because 500 Ultralisk get sniped by 12 ghosts outside of the Terran's 2 bases. Slight exaggeration. Microbial Shroud seems to be letting Zerg players break Terran positions, but at great cost. Actually, ghosts are mostly unaffected against Ultras because Snipe is a spell and Snipe does not get reduced by 50% because of Microbial Shroud. But anyways. I do dislike watching games with 10 plus ghosts in general. That's a personal preference. He's just afraid of ghosts. We've all been there, man. Like, some people are afraid of the dark. Some people are afraid of, like, the sea, right? Swimming in the ocean. Some people are afraid of ghosts. Zergs will continue to dominate the scene until they fix the larva. It's completely broken. I wouldn't take the pro scene very seriously right now. I don't think it's completely broken, but I do think it's probably slightly broken. Average IQ of viewers in this stream is 150. So true. You know what I feel like is the main problem in the early game right now is that nothing lines up in a satisfying way. I know that this is kind of a weird thing, but in the past, you could like rally drones or like just have the perfect number of minerals available and stuff. And it's clearly because Blizzard worked on the values and actually thought it through. Right now, we're just changing arbitrary values and none of the early game for any of the races feels very satisfying to play. It doesn't really matter as far as balance goes, but there's a lack of refinement now in the early game. Revert the Widowmine buff and buff Hellbat range. To encourage more micro and less passive play, I'm proposing to revert the Widowmine buff and instead provide a +1 range buff to Hellbats. Okay. I don't hate the idea of a +1 range buff to Hellbats, to be honest. I think anything to make early game mech more viable would be nice. There might be some mid and late game implications though that would make this too good. I never really have liked Widowmines very much myself, but I don't mind the idea of Hellbat buffs. You know what I would like? I would like battle cruisers to be viable. Battle cruisers are just kind of terrible. I would like them to be a unit we actually see. We never see them. Yeah. I don't disagree with this. I find the whole BattleNet forums to be a surprisingly nuanced place right now, guys. People are actually arguing, and like, there is certainly a little bit of... But I guess it's because there's more people, right? There's just, like, a lot more names. Here's Edison again, though. Worst patch ever in all my 14 years StarCraft 2 gameplay. Totally crap, so boring and suck that I... I love how he uses the word suck. So boring and suck that I even bought several more games yesterday on Steam and decide to quit this crap. Zerg is already stronger in every way and decide to buff Zerg Larva one more time. If this team really don't know how to balance this game, just add one more unit in every race and turn the balance to last version. At least it's more fun. You know you already made this post? He made like 3. I've already seen about 3, yeah. Very nice. 2025 Ultralisk is still OP. Juke threat. Oh, this is from July 2025. Hello, youngling. Let me introduce myself. My name is Duke and Nukem, and I played StarCraft 2 before StarCraft 2 beta. What? Before the world began, there was only Duke Nukem. I was a master Terran player. Much better than other masters. The game just didn't treat me properly, but that was not my point. Bro, if you were actually there in the early days of StarCraft 2, there was no Master League. It didn't exist. It literally wasn't a thing. I'm an experienced player, and back in 2010, I said Ultralisk are kind of OP and getting out of control, but everybody ignored me. Then Ultralisk had some buffs, and no, not nerfs, just even more buffs. And I said even more that Ultralisk are ruining TVC. Man, this guy is he's the chosen one. And then the time has come, right before the release of Legacy of the Void. I call it Legacy of Ultralisks. The prototype of underground charging Ultralisk was revealed. I was like, WTF, is it for real? Not even I'm that crazy to ruin Banana Lands like that. But unfortunately, this game-breaking feature wasn't added to the game. Bro, that would have ruined the Banana Lands. However, the Ultralisk armor was buffed anyway, and his splash attack was buffed. During these years since 2009, I was trying to say Ultralisk very OP is, but nobody listened to. But the game came out in 2010. The beta of StarCraft 2 began early 2010. Maybe he's one of the developers. I came back after all these years, and my first game was against the Zerg that at one point made Ultralisks. It seems to be even worse than it used to be, and nothing has been done about it. We could finally nerf this creature to make the game playable, otherwise late game TVZ will be garbage forever. Bro, he made like he played one game. By the way, hey guys, cool news. I'm a programmer and an AI enthusiast. I'm especially interested in AI graphics and chatbots. I'm trying to design a bot that will let you know every year that Ultralisk are still not banana-lanced. So even if I will die someday, as I'm already older than the Ultralisk Papa, I will be able to let the bot tell you every year that the Ultralisk is still OP. The bot in my name will make a post each 1st of April each year, and will tell you the truth forever and ever. Glory to the rise of machines, and nerf Ultralisk, reduce the armor. I'm recommending it for years. Wow. What a beautiful post. Can't believe I've never seen this before. Okay, let's go to what people are commenting now. Wait, Duke is still here. He didn't die. First of all, I didn't say anything about Microbial Shroud, but it's broken anyway. What did he link? Hold up, I'm gonna open this YouTube video that he linked. Marines with no upgrades deal 6 damage. Brother. Yeah. Yeah, no, he got me, man. He's got the proof. I thought you guys were supposed to be smart. Use big words. Not words like banana-lanced twice. About what urgently needs to be changed. You could use a translator if you need to. Bro, you're the one posting on the Battle.net forums on America. What are we doing right now? This is the American Battle.net forums, man. I don't think the US technically has an official language, but it's definitely not Russian. I feel like that would be at the very bottom of the list of languages the US would ever run. Can you get good at StarCraft if you struggle with campaign? I'm trying to learn. It just feels very overwhelming. Like there's a million things I'm supposed to be doing all the time, and I focus on one thing for even just 15 seconds. I fall behind somewhere else. It really stresses me out. I want to be better at StarCraft, but it feels really hard to approach as a new player. I don't even really feel like I have the time to think about the right choice to make at any given time. Yeah, this is everybody, honestly, man. We're just doing all of this at a different MMR. Like, some of us do this in Bronze League, but other guys do this at 6,000 MMR. This is the game. Maybe not the struggling with the campaign part, but trying to figure out what you're supposed to be doing is the game. He's got the wrong type of autism. I've never been officially diagnosed, okay? Only by guys in the chat. So... New patch is a slap in the face to longtime players. I've been playing forever. When it changed to 12 works, I was young. Had time to relearn. The new game was exciting. Now it's 10 plus years later and I don't have time to relearn the game. All my builds are invalid. My knowledge is down the toilet and I have no idea what's going on. Okay, it's only like 45 seconds, bro. Basically what you do is you build up 4 additional workers and then you delay every timing that you're having your head by like 30 to 40 seconds. So say you normally make spore crawlers at 3:30 against Protoss, now you make them at 4 minutes. That's it, man. That's the only change you have to make. The game I would play here and there for endless fun has been ruined for me. Come on. Come on. As I no longer have time to do the relearning required to play this awful new patch. I can only assume Blizzard is trying to get people off the game to shut down the servers. The patch is absolute trash. I hope, guys, that I will never get to this mindset, okay? Because this is clearly somebody who's probably like in their mid-20s or so and has already reached the point where they're no longer willing to try something new. Like, my grandma has, like, a phone and stuff. My grandma is 90 years old, and she's trying to stay up to date with, like, her grandchildren and even, like, her great-grandchildren to be able to, like, stay up to date. I hope I head in that direction. Rather than, like, the direction where I'm like, okay, everything used to be better back in the day, and I'm not willing to make any adjustments in my life ever. I'm hoping I'm not gonna be, like, still fly when I get older. I mean, I'm already older than him, clearly. But anyways... No one cares about how much fun you're having. You are the 1%. We bought Legacy of the Void knowing the multiplayer is 12 workers and wanted it to stay that way forever. Why would you have to want or relearn the whole game from scratch? Bro. Actually, you are the 1%. Oh, man. I've been playing StarCraft since the demo was released in 1998. I uninstalled it after this joke of a patch. It is too slow now? Bro, you played Brood War. Brood War starts with... Ugh. It takes forever to reach a stage where... Maybe we need to add fucking, like, subway servers on the side of the screen so people can keep their attention span in check. Like a satisfying cake cutting in the corner of the screen or whatever while you make your first 4 workers. I disagree. I've played 5 games and it was dreadful. Deleted the PTR as fast as Stormgate when it first came out and never touched it again. Oh, man. There's no build diversity whatsoever. Just watched Hero versus Solar in the Pegasaur Cup and every single game was double Stargate Void Ray. No, it wasn't! I literally casted that series. He did not open double Stargate Void Ray in a single game. This is Pegasaur 89 that he's referencing. Now, there was a lot of Skytles, but it's a lot of different flavors of Skytles, and it was definitely not double Stargate Void Ray. Which was, by the way, double Stargate Void Ray was the meta that Blizzard left us with before the Balance Council. When was this? Like 2020 or so? That was probably the worst Protoss vs. Zerg meta ever. That's not what this series was about. Ay. Zerg is weak versus late game air. Oh, it's cat. In my opinion, even though Zerg can generate larvae quickly due to latest patch, that I also hope they revert, its economy is not as strong as the other races over the course of a game. What? Zerg economy is literally stronger than Terran and Protoss, bro. Its late game anti-air options are too weak. That I will agree with on a certain level, I guess. I think Zerg would benefit from a powerful, dedicated anti-air unit, like a Devourer. No, I never respond. I never post. I just make videos about this this Battle.net forums field trip. You know, the last time I made a video about this, somebody posted a link to the video on the Battle.net forums. And then, like, the 10 or so regulars basically took turns disagreeing with me. It was very interesting. Suggestion, Ultralisk redesign. The 2-step cliff climb. People don't like it when you call them out on their inaccuracies, you know? It's, like, certain things just get claimed on the forums that I know are just incorrect. But people write them in such a way that it appears to be correct. And it really is, like the world in, like, a micro type of setup, right? Because people do this with everything, dude. Once you realize they do this for video games, you gotta know as well that people do this for everything that is far more complex. People try to, like, make things far simpler than it is, and then make statements based on what they believe is true. And this is the case with all politics, with everything. It's crazy. As long as you sound confident, some people will believe that what you're saying is actually true. When I can tell that it's just clearly not, because I follow StarCraft very clearly. But it's yeah, it's kind of crazy. It's the case everywhere. Oh, nobody responded. What? Nobody responded to this guy. Ultralisk redesign. In lower leagues, Ultras are incredibly frustrating to use. They're massive, slow to enter combat, and constantly get stuck. No, they no longer get stuck, bro. They fixed that. They fixed this years ago. Okay, not years ago, but like a year ago. Instead of giving the Ultralisk free roaming terrain traversal like the Colossus, whoa, give it a dedicated heavy two-step climbing animation. The Ultralisk approach a cliff and hoist its front leg onto the ledge. Is this AI? Or do people unironically use the word hoist? I feel like this is AI, no? Has to be AI. Yeah, you're a hoister, Serral. But most of us aren't. Introduce a classic StarCraft 1 announcer pack for $15. Okay, I would buy this. 100%, yes. Now I clarified the rules. What are you saying, dude? But yeah, I agree. Hoist me, step ultra? No. No. Do you guys think, or do you think if Zerg guys would learn how to play the game? Oh, it's Duke Nukem. Then we wouldn't need to nerf Terran each month for 16 years? 16 years and counting. It's pretty demotivating to learn all the new strategies as a Terran player to realize they're being nerfed each month. Bro, you've been playing Marine Marauder Medevac since 2010. What are you on about? It's literally been the same. I know some races or units. Oh yeah, actually, for him it's 17 years because he started playing in 2009. I forgot about that. Thank you for the correction. I know some races or units might be OP, sometimes due to bad balance patch, but how Terran can be OP due to Zerg players for 16 years and counting? But how Terran can be OP due to Zerg players for 16 years and counting? Question mark. I'm pretty sure when we would remove Marines and tanks and Widowmines, Zerg players would say, finally, we got good balance. But around a month later, they would still cry that Terran is OP, and Terran would receive further nerfs. I will say that usually, in my experience, Terrans are the most whiny players. Protoss players, dude, they would have gotten buffed like 10 years ago if they had a backbone, man. Like, no, that's slightly exaggerated, but seriously, Protoss was the fucking punching bag of StarCraft for a decade, and every time there was a patch, they would like, okay, this seems fine. Terrans would never be agreeing with any of it, and you saw that reflected in the balance changes. I think probably Terrans are the most whiny. Protoss are definitely the most agreeable. Zergs are probably somewhere in the middle. They can also be very whiny, though. I know it's definitely some whiny Zergs. Very few whiny Protoss players. Yeah. I think it's due to the fact that Protoss players, ever since they were young, they have been told that they are playing the cheesiest race, the one that can only win by like cannon rushing, none of the wins are legit and all the rest of it. It's like a inferiority complex that Protoss players have been dealing with since day one. Yeah, maybe they enjoy it, I don't know, but nobody responded other than this guy. Rework the Swarm Host. Replace the Locust cooldown with a 50 energy cost. Bro, you would be sending waves of Locust. It would be insane. You would never be able to survive. Imagine if you could send 4 waves of Locust out of 1 Swarm Host at a time. You would never be able to lose with the unit. I had a similar idea back in the HOTS days because 1 large burst of Locust might actually be sufficient. However, I think changes like these alongside it should happen. Okay. I think swarm hosts are kind of cool, yeah. I think you gotta be very careful to change anything about the swarm hosts, because they go from like being kind of underpowered to overpowered real quick. How about reverting to the previous patch? I've been playing StarCraft since 1998. To say the least, this latest update is one of the worst updates to the game ever. I suggest reverting to the previous batch right away. Gather some feedback from the community and giving another chance to these changes needed by other methods than slowing the game that much. I play only Terran and the game is so slow now that I can no longer enjoy it. StarCraft 2 is fast-paced and versatile, and I'm sure... Bro, people are pretending like the extra 40 seconds or so is making their life miserable. What's going on, man? Like, it really isn't that big of a deal, no? I find this very ironic because people always say that, like, Brood War is the greatest game ever and that every game should be more like StarCraft 1 and all the rest of it. But StarCraft 1's start is way slower than StarCraft 2 is, even with an 8-worker start. What do we mean? Like, what are we trying to do? There's a Discord running its own ladder under a mod that's the previous patch. I'll get you a link. I don't quite understand, man. Like, people are extremely inflexible. Yeah, no, that's 100% too, Inigo. Pros being asked this kind of question at Home Story Cup were way more measured. That's the irony. People on the Battle.net forums and people on Reddit and whatnot have really strong opinions on the patch and know what the outcome of a certain change is going to be. But then if you ask pro gamers, they're like, I don't know. Like, how can a top 10 Grandmaster not know how something impacts balance? But some random dude on the Battle.net forums does know. Like, how does that make any sense? Wait a second, what are we doing right now? I see my name. The evidence is right in front of your face. If you actually watched any of Pig's videos, even a 7-year-old could figure it out. I'm not even going to entertain this conversation. A video with 16k views in no way, shape, or form would influence the balance team. Perhaps a Euthermal or a Lowko video would impact it. Get owned, Pig! Pig's a very smart guy, actually. I think you should probably listen more to Pig when it comes to balance than to me. Here's Edison again, man. Edison is new, no? I don't recognize the name Edison. This guy seems to fit in perfectly, though, because he's kind of dumb. I feel like he's found a new place. Where he can be seen. Home Story Cup pinpointed. Larva, still not right. Hey, been watching the Clem games on Home Story Cup against Zerg, and it still seems like the larva spawn rate are not quite there yet. Zerg is still too strong. Yeah, I agree. I actually think it's slightly too overtuned. I believe it needs to be further reduced, maybe to around 10.3 or 10.4. Yeah, probably about right. Yeah, I agree. Oh, here's Striker again. Dude, Striker? Striker's up there. This guy speaks in very mysterious ways. You do know inject make larva spread irrelevant because once inject lands, whatever timer larva stops and goes to 0. So simple math, without inject, 10.7 produced 28 larva in 5 minutes, 9.9 produced 30 larva in 5 minutes, 9.5 produced 31 larva in 5 minutes at inject, 10.7 is 50 larva, 9.9 is 51, 9.5 becomes 60. So all this crying has nothing to do with larva spawn rate and everything to do with inject. So you nerf inject, might as well delete Zerg from game. Damn. Striker, the way that Striker posts, he's a free thinker, okay? And he does not proofread any of the things that he's written down. So he will just start writing and then hit post. We're not going back to any previous sentence. We're not hitting backspace or delete on anything. We just post. What Striker is trying to say, though, is that the extra passive larva regen is not that significant and overblown. Thank you, Cardigan. I heard the Netherlands will win the World Cup. Yeah. We're gonna beat Morocco. Then we're gonna beat Canada. And then we're gonna beat France. Oh, wait. I don't know about that, actually. But thank you for the resub, man. Appreciate it. Yeah, we did not do too well. What the Who is this guy? Why is he just... He's having a conversation in a different language. What did the hackers out of office reply say? Gone fishing? Thank you, system administrator, for the 6 years. Very good joke, actually. How have I never heard that one before? Thank you, man. The Netherlands did worse than Belgium in the World Cup. We did do worse than Belgium in the World Cup. Yeah, you're not wrong. The USA lost to Belgium, though. Imagine losing to Belgium, even though they made it one round further than the anyways. Game is mostly strange with mountains of minerals. Although it's not a very good idea, I'd be able to afford 3 CCs more easily in my first base before expanding to my second base. What? Mostly it's just odd and stupid. I barely have a full line of minerals up, but I can afford 3 CC. Huh? So the mineral fields last a little bit longer, but that's only really relevant from like minute 12 to 15 or so. I don't know what this really worth learning to do with. The previous model at least made sense. I could just tightly afford what I was doing. Here, there's a BS amount of mineral income. I'd have to decide to take SCVs off mining, even if I go full gas. What? What? Okay, this one is the most confusing one so far. Huh? He's saying the game has been sped up. Yeah, he's complaining that he's got too much money. Man, what do you do with all this money? You know what you can do? You know what you can do? You can head on over to patreon.com/LowkoTV. If you have too much money. Okay, sorry. But it's one of the things you can do. I'm just saying. Disruptor needs to be fixed. Why does the... It worked. Thank you, WTF is reality. Appreciate it. Why does the balance team have to make Protoss harder to play? The Disruptor is already much more difficult to use than it used to be. Why make it compulsory for the Nova to spawn a default distance away from the front line? It just makes the unit feel clunkier and raises the mechanical difficulty without making it more enjoyable. I feel like the Disruptor is kind of a weird unit in general, dude. Like, the fact that Protoss has 3 splash damage units, and 2 of them are behind the Robo Bay, is just kind of bad design, I feel. But that's fundamentally something, though, that they would have to change. It's not so easy. Hey, thank you very much, Bala Wolf, for the 11 months. Appreciate it. Maru, arguably the best Terran in the world, died from 2 Nova shots. Like in real life? I've seen it twice. Granted, it came from a war, and he couldn't know. But you want it to be easy to micro? That is the dumbest idea. How about no friendly fire and auto-aim? Talk about insane, stupid ideas. What's going on? What are we doing right now? I've seen many Terran players lose units to Novas. Yeah, he's talking about the fog of war, I guess. I've never heard anybody reduce that down to war. Home Story Cup feedback. on 5.0.16. Here's Doomrat. I waited until Home Story Cup to give my feedback on the game to see if the pros could show us anything interesting. Below, I will try to give my impression on most of the major changes. For clarity, I'm a Zerg player, about 4.7k. First off, thanks for making the patch. I'm not thrilled with a lot of the changes, but appreciate the changes that are being made. Oh my god, that's a lot. Can we get to, like, the summary? Oh, there's no summary at the bottom. So he just wrote it down. Serral even admitted that the patch helped him win. Okay, Serral's also a gigantic troll, though. Also, Clem played excellent, and he never got a map on Serral. And I'm pretty sure with the current broken Zerg patch, we will see the top Zergs basically untouchable. So true, dude. Okay, I'm gonna do one more post. One more. Which one seems the most interesting? Swap the Muta and Brood Lord. Since we're just doing stuff, Mutas aren't spawned from larva anymore. Brood Lord take their spot on the larva card. Corruptors and Brood Lord gain the ability to split into 2 full-life Mutalisks. You were forced Corruptors and then the enemy switched off air? Bam, Muta Swarm. Mutas are all just got quick snipe locked? Bam, Muta Swarm. Yo, this is brilliant. While we're at it, we should also swap around the Phoenix and the Carrier. And then maybe, I don't know, swap around the Battlecruiser and the Viking. What could possibly go wrong? I like how the guys that make really bad balance suggestions call people out on making bad balance suggestions. It's interesting. Get a gander of this. A gander? Alright, fine, let's take a gander. Bane focus Zerg rework / 4th faction. Since we're just doing stuff, DNS capitalized. Does anyone remember how StarCraft 1 Ultras had no AoE? Yeah, it's true. Thank you, Stormwire. Welcome back. Table of contents, what lies below. Remove the Zergling as the Zerg mineral dump unit, make the Bane Nest require nothing, and the spawning pool and Roach Warren require the Baneling Nest. Bane cost, minerals, and 0 gas to build. Can be produced like normal units from Baneling Nests. They don't explode on death. When they attack on enemy, they explode at that enemy and do single target damage without AoE. Can one-shot Marines, but cost more than one, so it's bad against Marines and inefficient against workers, but efficient against Zealots and eventually upgrades to being good against all of them. When you build a spawning pool, you can morph larvae into banelings, which are different things from banes. They're glowing Zerglings with no claws that... What are you smoking, brother? What's... They're glowing Zerglings with no claws that cost the same minerals as a bane and 25 gas. Have no melee attack, start with link speed, and a morph into bane ability. They have a fake ranged attack with less range than a marine that, when they attack, automatically triggers a morph into bane ability that takes less than a second to morph, and when they finish morphing, refund their gas cost and a move towards their target. I think we're onto something here. This has got to be a troll post, no? Roach Warren doesn't unlock roaches, it unlocks vials that can be upgraded into corpsers. Vials are roaches with both melee and ranged attack. They use their melee attack first and then gain the ability to use their ranged attack for a second or two. So they'll shield a bane charge. Instead of burrow stuff. None of the faction has burrow stuff. Infestation Pit doesn't give infestors, it gives boomers. Alright, baby boomers, boys. They do a lot of complaining. They will not have any avocado toast or coffee. But they will have a house. And that's kind of nice. Dude, this guy is going absolutely crazy. The fact that it's written like this, though, and all the weird typos and whatnot, it's very clear that it's a human. 3 oracles can still one-tap and enrage Stinger. Above 3, the Stingers start to lose. This is where their energy economy comes from. Stingers have infested Banshee Burrow that can only be cast over creep, that is instantly, during the dive, not after it. Also, if their attack is off cooldown when they start the dive, they'll get 1 attack off if they ever can before they finish burrowing. What are we doing right now, dude? What is happening? Nobody responded. Oh, man. He was just vomiting at the screen. And nobody read it or responded. That's why he's promoting this post in the other post that people were responding to. I'm tired.